Ever notice how the same people who preach forgiveness are usually the ones who keep getting hurt? They forgive and forgive and forgive, and they keep getting burned and burned and burned. Meanwhile, the people who actually command respect, they don't forgive so easily. So what do they understand that you don't? I am about to say something that is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. Forgiveness, the way you've been taught it, is making you weak. It is keeping you trapped in cycles of abuse. It is training the people around you that they can hurt you without consequence. And every time you let it go, you are letting go of your power. Think about the last time you forgave someone who really hurt you. Did they change? Did they treat you better? Or did they just learn that they could get away with it? That apology they gave, was it genuine transformation? Or just the price of admission back into your life so they could do it again? Here is what nobody wants to admit. Machiavelli understood something about human nature that modern self-help gurus ignore completely. Some people don't deserve forgiveness. Some betrayals should never be forgotten. And sometimes holding on to your anger is the only thing protecting you from being destroyed. What if I told you that the pressure to forgive is actually a manipulation tactic? That people who hurt you benefit most when you let it go? That your peace isn't found in forgiveness but in justice? This isn't bitterness. This is the brutal psychology of self-protection that no one wants to teach you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why toxic forgiveness has been keeping you trapped, why some people use your capacity for mercy as a weapon against you, and most importantly, when holding on to anger is actually the healthiest thing you can do. Are you ready to stop being everyone's doormat disguised as a saint? Drop this affirmation in the comments. I forgive strategically. Number 1. The forgiveness lie. Let's start by dismantling everything you've been taught about forgiveness, because most of it is a lie designed to benefit the people who hurt you, not you. You've heard it 1,000 times. Forgiveness is for you, not them. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison. You have to forgive to move on. Let go or be dragged. These phrases sound wise. They feel spiritual, and they're often completely wrong. Here is what they don't tell you. Forgiveness without consequence teaches people they can hurt you for free. Letting go of justified anger often means letting go of your self-protective instincts. Moving on before you've processed betrayal just buries the wound where it can fester. And the people pushing hardest for your forgiveness are usually the ones who benefit from it. Machiavelli wrote, "Men ought either to be well treated or crushed, because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries. Of more serious ones they cannot." Translation half. Measures create enemies who remember. When you forgive without real consequence, you don't neutralize the threat. You just give it another chance to strike. The forgiveness industry, and it is an industry, profits from keeping you in cycles of hurt and healing. Therapists who tell you to forgive without addressing the behavior. Spiritual leaders who promise peace through surrender. Family members who pressure you to reconcile for their comfort, not yours. They all benefit from your forgiveness. The person who hurt you gets absolved. The people around you get to avoid uncomfortable conversations. The only person who doesn't benefit you just reset the clock and wait for the next betrayal. Real healing doesn't require forgiving people who haven't changed. Real peace doesn't come from pretending betrayals didn't happen. Real strength isn't found in endless mercy for those who show none. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is refuse to forgive. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I owe no one forgiveness. Number 2. The repeat offender problem. Here is the truth that forgiveness advocates never address. Some people don't make mistakes. They make choices repeatedly. And your forgiveness isn't healing them. It is enabling them. Think about the people you've forgiven multiple times. Are they different now? Have they actually changed? Or have they just gotten better at apologizing? Better at making you feel guilty for having boundaries? Better at the manipulation cycle of hurt, apologize, love bomb, repeat? Machiavelli observed, "He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner affects his ruin than his preservation." Applied to forgiveness, when you focus on who someone ought to be, who they promise to be, instead of who they've repeatedly shown themselves to be, you guarantee your own destruction. The pattern is predictable. They hurt you. You are angry. They apologize, maybe cry, definitely promise change. You soften, you forgive. Things are good for a while, then they hurt you again because nothing actually changed except your tolerance for their behavior. Every time you forgive a repeat offender, you are not showing them grace. You are showing them that the cost of hurting you is just an apology and some temporary good behavior. That is a price they're happy to pay. It is a bargain for them and a robbery for you. Here is the rule. First offense, consider forgiveness if there is genuine accountability. Second offense of the same type. The pattern is emerging. Third offense, that is not a mistake. That is character. And character doesn't change because you forgave it. Stop forgiving patterns. Start recognizing them. The kindest thing you can do for yourself is accept that some people have shown you exactly who they are. Believe them. Protect yourself accordingly. That is not bitterness. That is wisdom. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Patterns deserve consequences, not forgiveness. Number 3. Anger as information. Here is something that will change how you understand your own emotions. Your anger isn't the problem, it is the messenger. And when you rush to forgive, you are shooting the messenger before it can deliver its critical message. Anger exists for a reason. It is your psyche's alarm system telling you that a boundary has been violated, that something unjust has occurred, that you need to protect yourself. When you immediately try to extinguish that anger through premature forgiveness, you are disabling your own security system. Machiavelli understood that emotions properly channeled are tools of power. He wrote about using fear, love, and respect strategically. Anger works the same way. It is energy that can be directed toward protecting yourself, establishing boundaries, and ensuring betrayal has consequences. But what does modern society tell you? Don't be angry. Let it go. Be the bigger person, rise above it. All of which translates to stop protecting yourself. Stop demanding consequences. Make it easier for people who hurt you to face no accountability. Here is the truth about anger. Suppressed anger doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It becomes depression. It becomes anxiety. It becomes chronic resentment that poisons your entire life. Or it explodes eventually, usually at the wrong target at the wrong time. Healthy anger, expressed appropriately, is actually protective. It tells people where your limits are. It motivates you to make changes. It provides energy to enforce boundaries. It is only destructive when it is denied, suppressed, or misdirected. Before you forgive, ask yourself, has my anger delivered its message? Have I learned what I need to protect? Have I made changes to prevent this betrayal from recurring? If you forgive before processing, you are not healing. You are just setting yourself up for the next wound. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My anger protects me. Number 4. The difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Here is a distinction that changes everything. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing, and confusing them is what keeps getting you hurt. Forgiveness, if you choose it, is internal. It is releasing your own attachment to revenge and rumination. It is for your mental peace, not their absolution. And critically, it can happen without the other person even knowing about it. Reconciliation is external. It is restoring the relationship, allowing access again, rebuilding trust. And this should only happen when there is genuine change, real accountability, and demonstrated transformation over time. Not just words, actions. Machiavelli wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." Applied to you. Your intelligence is measured by who you allow into your life. Reconciling with people who haven't changed isn't forgiveness. It is foolishness. You can forgive someone internally and still never speak to them again. You can release your anger and still maintain strict boundaries. You can wish someone well from a distance that keeps you safe. These aren't contradictions, they're wisdom. The manipulation happens when people demand reconciliation disguised as forgiveness. If you've really forgiven me, you'll let me back in. If you've truly moved on, you'll give me another chance. If you are not bitter, you'll restore our relationship. These are manipulation tactics, not measures of your healing. You can forgive and still protect yourself. You can let go of anger and still remember the lesson. You can move forward and still refuse to bring them with you. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either confused or invested in your reconciliation for their own reasons. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Forgiveness doesn't require access. Number 5. The pressure to forgive. Let's talk about why people pressure you to forgive. Because it is rarely about your healing. It is almost always about their comfort. When you refuse to forgive, it makes people uncomfortable. It disrupts social harmony. It forces them to pick sides or acknowledge that someone they know did something unforgivable. It is much easier for them if you just let it go so everything can go back to normal. Machiavelli observed, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." The people pressuring you to forgive are often deceiving themselves that everything is fine. They need you to play along with their illusion. Notice who is pushing hardest for your forgiveness. Is it people who have your best interests at heart? Or is it people who benefit from you forgiving? Is it people who've sat with your pain? Or people who are uncomfortable with your boundaries? The person who hurt you obviously wants forgiveness. It absolves them. It gives them access again. It proves their actions had no real consequence. But what about the others? Your family wants holiday peace. Your mutual friends want the group dynamic restored. Your community wants the scandal buried. None of these people have to live with the consequences. If the person hurts you again, none of them had to experience what you experienced. None of them will be there to pick up the pieces when forgiveness leads to another betrayal. But they're all comfortable telling you to let it go. Here is your response to forgiveness pressure. I'll process this in my own time, in my own way. My healing isn't on your timeline. You are asking me to reconcile for your comfort, not my well-being. You don't owe anyone premature forgiveness. Your healing belongs to you. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I forgive on my timeline. Number 6. Strategic unforgiveness. Now let's talk about when refusing to forgive is actually the right strategic choice. Because sometimes holding your ground is the only thing protecting you and others from a dangerous person. When you forgive someone who hasn't changed, you are not just putting yourself at risk. You are validating their behavior. You are telling them their actions have no lasting consequence. You are potentially enabling them to hurt others who might have been warned by your maintained distance. Machiavelli wrote, "It is necessary for a prince to know how to make use of both the beast and the man." Sometimes the strategic beast choice is to hold the grudge, to maintain the warning, to be the person who remembers and refuses to pretend it didn't happen. Think about it this way. If everyone forgives the serial manipulator, they learn manipulation works. If everyone reconciles with the cheater, they learn cheating has no real cost. If everyone welcomes back the abuser, they learn abuse will be tolerated. Your unforgiveness might be the only consequence they ever face. Strategic unforgiveness also protects your future self. It maintains the emotional memory of betrayal that keeps you alert. It preserves the lesson that certain behaviors are unacceptable. It keeps your standards visible so you don't unconsciously lower them over time. This isn't about revenge or bitterness. It is about refusing to pretend something didn't happen when it did. It is about holding the line when everyone else wants to erase it. It is about being the person who remembers because someone has to. Some betrayals should create permanent distance. Some trust, once broken, shouldn't be rebuilt. Some people should be remembered as dangerous, not forgiven into seeming safe. Your unforgiveness might be the last defense against someone who has fooled everyone else. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My unforgiveness serves a purpose. Number 7. Transmuting pain into power. Here is what to do with the energy that premature forgiveness would waste. You transmute it. You turn your pain and anger into fuel for your own ascension. Every great achievement in human history has been fueled partly by someone who had something to prove, someone who remembered being doubted, betrayed, or dismissed, someone who held on to that memory and used it as motivation to become undeniable. Machiavelli understood that emotion is energy, and energy can be directed. He wrote, "Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great." Your anger, your pain, your refusal to forgive, these create willingness. Willingness to work harder, willingness to succeed despite them, willingness to build a life so good it becomes your revenge. The best revenge isn't confrontation. It is not petty retaliation. It is becoming so successful, so powerful, so fulfilled that the person who hurt you becomes irrelevant. It is reaching heights they can't touch from the outside they've created for themselves. Think about what you could accomplish if you channeled your betrayal pain into creation, instead of premature forgiveness. Every time you want to forgive too early, redirect that energy into a project, a skill, a goal. Let your success speak louder than any confrontation could. When people tell you to let it go, you are letting it go into your work, into your growth, into building a future where their betrayal becomes the footnote, not the headline. That is not bitterness. That is alchemy. Here is the practical application. Every time anger about the betrayal surfaces, channel it. Feel the surge of energy and direct it towards something productive. Work out harder. Work longer. Create something. Build something. Let the person who hurts you become the unwitting fuel for your transformation. The people who hurt you should become your greatest motivators without ever knowing it. Every achievement you reach becomes a private victory over them. Every level you rise is distance from what they tried to make you. They wanted to diminish you. You use them to expand. This reframe changes everything. You are not holding on to anger destructively. You are converting it into rocket fuel. You are not consumed by the betrayal. You are consuming it for energy. The betrayal becomes a resource instead of a wound. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My pain becomes my power. Number 8. When forgiveness actually works. Now let me be clear. I am not saying never forgive anyone. I am saying forgive strategically when it actually serves your healing and growth. Here is when forgiveness genuinely works. Forgiveness works when the person has genuinely changed, not promised to change, not apologized without action, actually demonstrated different behavior over significant time. When someone has done the real work of transformation, forgiveness can complete both their journey and yours. Forgiveness works when holding the grudge costs you more than releasing it. Sometimes anger becomes its own prison. When you find yourself obsessing, when the resentment is taking more than the betrayal took, that is when forgiveness might genuinely serve your freedom. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. You must know when to be which." Sometimes the lion's strength is holding the grudge. Sometimes the fox's wisdom is releasing it. The key is knowing which situation you are in. Forgiveness works when you've fully processed the betrayal, when you've extracted every lesson, when you've made every change needed to protect yourself. When your anger has delivered its complete message, then forgiveness isn't premature, it is completion. Forgiveness works when it is truly for you, not performed for others. When no one is watching, when no one is pressuring, when the forgiveness is between you and yourself, releasing the weight because you are ready to, not because you are supposed to. The key difference is timing and agency. Premature forgiveness is performing healing you haven't actually done. Strategic forgiveness is completing a process you fully experienced. One is surrender, the other is victory. Know which one you are doing. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I forgive when I am ready, not when I am pressured. So what happens when you stop treating forgiveness as an obligation and start treating it as a strategic choice? When you refuse to forgive patterns, when you listen to your anger before dismissing it, when you separate forgiveness from reconciliation, when you resist pressure to heal on others' timelines, when you use unforgiveness strategically, when you transmute pain into power, when you only forgive when it genuinely serves you, first, you stop being a target. People who know you don't forgive easily think twice before betraying you. Your reputation for maintained consequences becomes your protection. You become someone people don't want to cross. Second, your real relationships improve. When people know forgiveness from you is earned, not automatic, they value it more. They treat you more carefully. The relationships that survive your standards become deeper and more genuine. Third, your self-respect transforms. You stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. You stop swallowing pain to maintain peace. You start treating yourself as someone worth protecting, worth remembering, worth avenging if necessary. Fourth, your energy redirects. All the effort that went into premature forgiveness and repeated reconciliation now goes into building your life. You are no longer maintaining relationships that drain you. You are investing in yourself and people who actually deserve your investment. Machiavelli wrote, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." Your forgiveness is a title, a gift, an honor you can bestow. When you give it to everyone without discretion, it means nothing. When you reserve it for those who've earned it, it means everything. If you've made it this far, you understand something most people don't. Forgiveness isn't a virtue when it enables abuse. Letting go isn't wisdom when it invites repetition. Being the bigger person isn't noble when it just makes you a bigger target. You are ready to release the guilt you've been carrying for not forgiving people who didn't deserve it. You are ready to stop performing healing you haven't completed. You are ready to trust your own anger as the protective force it actually is. Remember what we've covered. The forgiveness lie that keeps you trapped. The repeat offender pattern that never changes. Anger as information that protects you. The crucial difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. The pressure to forgive for others' comfort. Strategic unforgiveness that serves a purpose, transmuting pain into power. And when forgiveness actually works, these aren't excuses for bitterness. They're tools for discernment. They're permission to trust yourself. They're freedom from the obligation to absolve everyone who hurts you, regardless of whether they've earned it. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The wise person sets limits on forgiveness before being burned again. The fool forgives automatically and only learns limits after being destroyed. Don't be the fool. If this video freed you from the obligation to forgive people who don't deserve it, smash that like button. If you know someone trapped in cycles of forgiving abusers, share it with them. And if you want more content that challenges comfortable lies and gives you real tools for self-protection, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. The transformation from automatic forgiver to strategic forgiver starts with a single decision. You've just watched the blueprint. Now it is time to protect yourself. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I choose who deserves my forgiveness. Remember, in a world that pressures you to forgive everyone, the person who reserves mercy for those who've earned, it holds all the power. Be that person, protect yourself fiercely, and watch how everything in your life transforms when you finally stop letting people off the hook for free.